All right, so we are in part 2, beginning a game. I actually think the rest of the parts will go faster than the setting up of the UI, but we'll see. All right, if we had to do this in 3 parts, we'll do that. But anyway, let's start. Part 2, beginning a game, right? So now we can actually create the game logic that actually makes this UI into a game, right? The first thing we need to do is define words in turn, right? So we're going to create an array, a list of words, right? So fill this array with words, food, names, hobbies, animals. So you can put whatever you want to in this array, right? But use only lowercase letters, right? So such as this right here. So where did he put this? It's in the view controller. At the top of the view controller, we're going to right here. We're going to add this. Let's see. List of words right there, right? Make this smaller, I think. Oh no. There we go. All right. Var list of words equals square bracket Buccaneer, Swift, Glorious, Incandescent, Bug, Program. All right, that's good enough for now. You can put as many words in there as you would like. All right. All right, let me correct this spelling error here. Save that. All right. All right, below list of words, we're going to define a constant called incorrect moves allowed, right? So this is the number of incorrect moves that are going to be allowed in the game, right? So let incorrect moves allowed. This happens to be the number of apples on the tree. So, all right. Then we're going to define, after each round, the bottom label will display an updated count of the number of wins and losses. Create 2 variables to hold each of these values and set the initial values to 0. So var total wins equals 0. Var total losses equals 0. All right. Begin the first round. When the application launches, the view.did.load method of view controller is called. This is a great place to start a new round. Define a method called new round. All right, so we're going to come in here and say func new round, and then in our here's super view did load, we're going to put new round, right? There we go. Save that. This is much faster than the UI portion, right? Let's see. So inside of game.swift, right, over here. Maybe I didn't create that yet. Let's go back, and I think I missed creating that file, so I'm going to go back and find that real quick. Where did that happen? Where did that happen? All right, so I'm sorry, I missed it. So when we started a new round, right, what does it mean? Each round begins with a selection of a new word. It would be helpful to hold the state of the game inside a game struct. create a new file in your project by selecting File, New File, and select Swift File as your template, then select Next and call it Game Swift, right? So File, New File, right? Swift File as your template, Next, and we're going to call this game.swift, right? And in ApplePie, let's do create. There we go. All right, and inside of here, we're going to struct game var word string var incorrect moves remaining. Incorrect moves remaining. Yep. Save that. Back in the new round method, you can create a new instance of a game. Right. So back view controller, new round method. You should create a property that holds current value, game's value, so that it can be updated throughout the view controller code. You can give the game a new word in the initializer by removing the first value from the list of words collection, and set incorrect moves remaining to a number of moves you allow, stored in incorrect moves allowed. All right, so let's see, func current game. So I guess this has to go up here somewhere, right? Var current game exclamation point. And the exclamation point will be, we'll talk about that later on, right? It's kind of more advanced, and they talk about it in further chapters. All right, so func new round, we're going to say let new word equals list of words, remove first, current game equals game word new word, incorrect moves remaining, incorrect two colons there, incorrect moves allowed, like that. All right, so this sets up the new word. It takes the word off the list, and then it creates a new game with that word, right? And it sets the incorrect move. It resets how many incorrect moves you had. All right, moving on. This talks about the exclamation mark at the end. Basically, it means that it doesn't have to have a value to start with. Like I said, we talk more about that later in later chapters. Now that you've started a new round, you need to update the interface to reflect the new game. Create a separate method called update UI that will handle the interface updates. Then call it at the end of new round. Inside this method, there are two pieces of the interface that you can update with the code you've written thus far, the score label and the image view. The score label uses simple string interpolation to combine total wins and total losses into a single string. Since each of the tree images are named tree X, where X is the number of moves remaining, you can use string interpolation once more to construct the image name. All right, so let's go inside new round. Let's do that. Well, first, let's create the update UI function so that we can call it correctly. Func update UI. What? All right, I don't know what's going on there. That's weird. All right, func update UI. Score label text equals wins losses. I hate working from home. Really sometimes. Losses. And tree image view dot image equals UI image named tree current what? I think that's right. All right, now in new round, we can say update UI. Save that. All right, so I'm going to save, and let's make sure both of these are saved. Let's save. All right, so we're going to build and run this and see what happens, right? And I'll pause again because it takes forever to build these things, right? All right, so here we are. We have our tree. We have the apples on it. We can take a guess, right? We can say, let's see, E, C, G. The score label and the image reflect the beginning of a new round. So that is correct. That is, I guess that's all that's doing right there. All right, so we're good there. All right, so part 3, update game state. We can close that. All right, so far you built a working interface and you successfully started a new round. Now you need to add some code that progresses the game further towards a win or loss. Right? Extract button title. All right. All right. Currently, the button tap method disables whichever button the player used to guess, but it does not update the game state. Whenever a button is clicked, you should read the button's title. Determine that letter is in the word. Begin by reading the title that's used when the button is in its normal state. Not all buttons have titles, so you'll need to add an exclamation mark to tell Swift compiler that your button does have a title. You should lowercase the letter because it'll be much easier to compare everything in lowercase and then convert it from a string to a character. All right, so in our button tapped, and remember, I called it button press because that's what he called it before he actually wrote the function, and I called it button press before then, right? So after sender dot is enabled, we're going to say let a letter string equals sender dot title for dot normal. All right, and let letter equals character letter string dot lower case. All right. This is when I hate. Sometimes autocomplete can be a pain. All right, so for normal. All right. Sometimes it's your friend and sometimes your enemy. What is going on? All right. I didn't put that. I didn't put the exclamation point. All right. It will be used, so we're gonna ignore that warning for now. All right. So guess letter. Now that you have the letter that the player guessed, what should you do with it? The game manages how many more moves are remaining, but it doesn't know which letters have been selected during the round. You should add a collection of characters to game that keeps track of the selected letters called guessed letters. Then add a method in game that receives a character, adds it to the collection, and updated incorrect moves remaining if necessary. By adding the guessed letters property, you'll need to update the initialization for a current game. All right, so we go to the first one. Save that. Go to game, and let's see, incorrect moves remaining. Var guessed letters colon character. All right, next. I guess this is in the struct. All right, so mutating, and we'll learn what that is later. Func player guessed letter colon character. All right, guessed letters dot append letter. Right, if word contains letter. Incorrect moves remaining minus equals 1. All right, so it also updates these. It should tell you that it's in a different file, but it doesn't for some reason, because it talks about doing this in game, but then so it just kind of throws that at you. That's kind of screwed up. But anyway, so we're going to go into new round here, current game, and incorrect moves remaining. And so letters. All right, so that's all we got to add there. And then in button pressed, all right, game player guessed letter. Okay. That should get rid of that warning. Yes. All right. Build and run your application. As you press each button, the character gets added to a list letters players guess. Incorrect moves remaining decreases by 1 for each correct letter. All right. So let's try this again. All right. So we're gonna run it. Once again, I'll pause it because I don't know how long it's gonna take. All right, so here we go. Let's test it out. All right, so we're going to say, E, E, I don't see what's. So we guess that's working, but we can't actually see it working yet. So let's move on. All right, so part 4, create reveal word. Using word and guess letters, you can now compute a version of the word that hides the missing letters. For example, if the word for the round is Buccaneer and the user has guessed the letters C, E, B, and J, the player should see that right at the bottom of the screen. All right, so all right, to begin, create a computed property called formatted word with the definition of game. Here's one way to compute formatted word. Begin with an empty string, loop through each character of the word. If the character is in guessed letters, convert it to a string, then append the letter onto the variable. Otherwise, append onto the variable. All right, so let's see. So we're in game again, right? It's always good to know which file you're in before you start typing, right? So I'm going to say var formatted word string var guessed word is this supposed to be in the where's it supposed to be? One second. Never mind, I'm stupid. All right, guessed word equals right, for letter in word if guessed letters dot contains letter guessed word plus equals letter else guessed word plus equals return guessed word. Save that. Okay. Now that formatted word is a property that your UI can display, try using it for the text of the current word label inside of Update UI. Okay, so we go back to View Controller, Update UI, and let's see. I don't even know if I put the correct word label before. Correct word label dot text equals current game dot formatted word. Build and run. Save. Build. Pause. right, here we go. All right, so we have the blanked out word, right? So let's guess. So C, nope, B, nope, E, nope, A, nope. Wait, what is the first word? This be Buccaneer, right? Doesn't appear to be working, does it? Something went wrong somewhere. I have to figure that out. I'm not sure what's going on. Should be working. All right, well, I figured out what I was doing wrong. I had missed one line of code. Where is it? And I forgot to put this update UI right here. That's the only thing I did. And it wasn't updating the UI because every time I push the button, it should update the UI, and it wasn't doing that. So that's all I needed to do. All right. So moving on. Reveal word. I did that. They had to want to deal with this issue here. Let's see. All right, got that. There's an issue because multiple underscores appear as a solid line in the interface. It can be difficult to tell how many letters are in the word. One solution would be to add spaces during the computation of the formatted word, but this usually is purely about improving the interface, not meddling with computed data. Better solution would be to add spaces when you update the text of the current word label. Properly set the text of the current word label, you can use a Swift method called joined separator that operates on an array of strings. This function concatenates the collection of strings into one string separated by a given value. Here's an example. So how can you imagine using the join separator method to set the current word label? Start by converting the array of characters in formatted word into an array of strings. Use a for loop to store each of the newly created strings into a string array. Then you call join separator method to join the new collection together, separated by blank spaces. So in update UI, we're going to do that. All right, so everything happens before the correct word label. Right? And we're going to say var letters equals string, and then for letter in current game formatted word, letters dot append. Why is that not working? Append string letter. All right, then what? All right. Let word with spacing equal letters dot joined separator. And correct word label text equals word with spacing. I think that's it. Go and run your application, see a clear break between the letters and the underscores. Quit that. Say it again. I'll pause. Almost there, aren't we? Let's try B. Yeah, miss. N. E. U, C, A, and R. All right, so we can, it looks better now, and we're almost there. It's almost a full game. All right, so let's quit that. All right, let's head. Part 5, handle a win or loss. All right, starting to feel like a game. The round's progressing along with each button pressed, but there are two obvious issues. First, that incorrect moves remaining can go below 0, and second is that the player can't win a game even if they guess all letters correctly. When incorrect moves remaining reaches 0, total losses should be incremented and a new round should begin. It would be nice to have a single method that checks the game state to see if a win or loss has occurred, and if so, update total wins and total losses. Create a method called update game state that will perform this work and call it after each button press instead of calling update UI. All right, so there. All right. Okay, update game state after button tapped. Right. Func. Update game state. Right. How do you determine if the game is won, lost, or if the player should continue playing? A game is lost if incorrect moves remaining reaches 0. When it does, increment total losses. You determine the game has been won if the player has not yet lost, and if the current game's word property is equal to the formatted word. When that happens, increment total wins. If the game has not been won or lost yet, then the player should be allowed to continue guessing, and the interface should be updated. All right, so update game state, we'll say this: if current game dot incorrect moves remaining equals 0, total losses plus equals 1, else if current game dot word equals current game dot formatted word, total wins plus equals 1, else update UI. All right. All right. There's a couple of things we need to do. I'm not even going to run it again because it takes too long. It's really close, but a new round does not begin after a win or loss. Whenever total wins or total losses changes, a new round can be started. So this is a great time to add did set property observers to total wins and total losses. All right, so bar. So up here where it says total wins, instead of, yep, I'm going to add to that did set new round, right? That's good. Total losses. Did set. Oh, what the? Sometimes code completion is not fun. All right. Did set new round. We're almost there. It looks like you're approaching the finish line, but we need. Also, if you start a new round, there's no more words to choose from. The game will crash, right? You have to re-enable the buttons, right? So in new round, let's do that. First, we need to create the enable letter buttons, right? So let's do that. I'll do that right here. Func enable letter buttons. Enable for button and letter buttons. Button is enabled equals enable. All right, and now we can go in a new round and do what we need there. Right, so it looks like we're wrapping this first thing up right in a function if not list of words that is empty. Right, current game, that's fine. Guess the letters. What? Yes, right. Enable, there we go. Enable letter buttons. True. Else, enable letter buttons, false. Alright, is that it? Building run that should be able to get through all the ApplePie rounds until the end is reached and the buttons are disabled. Congratulations on your building your first mobile game on Swift. Alright, so this should run and work. Let's see it. Let's do this thing. Alright, stop it. Stop. Okay, I think I figured it out. Let's see if it works this time. All right, 1 second. So I'm just going to lose a game and make sure that it works. So I'm going to just guess a bunch of letters that I know aren't in there. Yep, I lose. It's good. Awesome. All right, then try to win one. I know the first word's Buccaneer. Near. Okay, so the first word was Buccaneer. The second one was not. All right, so let me try to win one. Let's see what's the glorious, I guess. Yes. All right. So it works completely well now, right? So let's I guess we can go through it, make sure that it stops when we get out of it. So this should be program. Yep, works perfect. Awesome. So that is that, right? So the thing I was missing in button pressed or button tap, whatever you want to call it, I didn't change this to update game state, and it still had update UI, and it wasn't actually doing what it needed to do. So a lot of details in this. Hopefully you got through it. Email me with questions, and hopefully we'll get there together. All right.